Starbucks has broken the law countless times by their treatment of unionized workers. And now we have some more information about what they've been plotting behind the scenes, thanks to the testimony of a former Starbucks manager who has decided to note that he was told to literally retaliate against unionized workers. So in August, former Starbucks manager David Almond testified under oath to the National Labor Relations Board that Starbucks had a list of pro-union employees that he was told to basically arbitrarily punish. Now, here's some context. Almond testified at the NLRB hearing in New York after the Labor Board issued a complaint accusing Starbucks of targeting, firing, threatening, and carrying out surveillance on numerous pro-union employees in Buffalo, New York. Now, Bloomberg first reported on Almond's testimony this week, which they had obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request. And here's what Almond had revealed. In one case, a district manager asked him whether a particular person on the list had committed any past infractions. When Almond responded and said that this person was actually a great employee, his superior told him to come up with something. That does not look good for Starbucks, but let me continue. She said, go through her files, meaning go through the employees' files, Almond said, according to the transcript. She's a long-term partner. I'm sure there's something in there we can use against her. Almond also testified that someone from Starbucks corporate told him to follow around an employee who appeared to be holding a union poster, and that a district manager told him to start ensuring there was always a manager present at the store because that would discourage union chatter. And in that testimony specifically, Almond said, she said, this way the partners won't feel comfortable talking about the union, and if they do, then you should discourage them, Almond said. She said, or she made me rewrite all the schedules so that there was a manager on from open all the way till close. So this is what's been transpiring over at Starbucks. I mean, to make a list of unionized employees or employees who are pro-union, just to target them for retaliation or to intimidate them or dissuade them from fighting for a union, not a good look, especially if the NLRB is investigating your treatment of employees who are trying to organize.
Yeah, so look, if you say, hey, the union should go through a certain process to make sure that they really represent the employees, great. And this has happened at progressive companies and candidates, and now congressional offices. Andy Levin's office started this, and now they're starting to unionize in Congress. Fantastic. But if you're Starbucks and you're not asking them to follow a normal process. You're trying to bury the union,
yeah,
right?
100%.
And you're doing this in what appears to be in a spectacularly over-the-top fashion. And your brand was a little progressive, right? Why don't you just light it on fire? Like if you're right, okay, that's one thing, right? But if you're massively wrong and you're doing this hatchet attack against your own workers, I mean, you're wondering why your stock is crashing. I mean, that is terrible branding, terrible branding. So, I mean, every day that they continue this nonsense, they light themselves on fire a little bit more. Or maybe you could just have a union, negotiate with them, and then, even if you thought it cost you a little bit more money, it wouldn't be half, it wouldn't be a quarter, it wouldn't be 10% of what it's costing you in the stock market for being such jerks.
Yeah, 100%. But they can't help themselves, right? Because their responsibility isn't to the employees. They don't care about their so-called partners. They like to call them partners as if they're more respectful toward their employees than other corporations are. But in this case, clearly making a list of workers to target, to make uncomfortable, to retaliate against, literally going out of your way to make something up that looks bad for one of these employees who's actually been an incredible worker, a good worker who has no blemish on her record. It tells you everything you need to know about what their actual priorities are, how they care about the value of their shares more than anything else. And the reason why is because they have what, Cenk? I mean, this is how the system's set up. I've said this a billion times on the show. They have a responsibility to their shareholders. That is their #1 priority. And that responsibility indicates that they have to maximize profits even at the expense of these employees. And that's what's going on here. And by the way, I just want to give Almond a lot of credit because he's like, I'm not gonna do this, right? So he was ordered to target these employees and he's like, I don't wanna do it. So he said, quote, I didn't want to do illegal stuff. I've worked my entire life to build up a career of integrity, and I was not going to allow Starbucks to take that from me. So he decided to quit. He decided to quit instead of following through with the orders that were given to him. And I gotta say, living in America, experiencing so many people, even in the industry that we were actually, especially in the industry we work in, you never come across people who are willing to basically quit to maintain their own integrity. And I have a lot of respect for him for doing that. Now, I should also note that this year, Starbucks has fired over 100 pro-union employees. The NLRB has filed more than 30 complaints against Starbucks, spanning over 100 unfair labor practice charges filed by Starbucks employees.
Yeah, so let me just double down real quick on the two things that you said. First, David Almond, remember, is not going to be in the union, he's a manager.
Yeah.
And so that was incredibly principled of him as a manager to say, no, I'm not gonna be your hatchet man. And I'm not gonna carry out these illegal orders that are against our own employees. So I can't congratulate him any more than I am. I couldn't be more proud of him. I think that's amazing, wonderful, okay? And then on the stock price, yeah, they wanna maximize profit, that's why they do this, but it's so short-sighted. It actually hurt their stock price. It hurt it so badly because they're destroying their own brand. So, but they can't help themselves because so many of these executives have been trained, never give the employees anything, right? Make sure that you're tough enough to take as much as you can from the employees, and if you do, you'll get a bigger bonus.
Yeah.
And that's the sad state of affairs for a lot of companies, and apparently, obviously, including Starbucks. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.